Okay, now we play against
Against
Hort.
Hort. Hort was in that time one of the youngest grandmasters in the world and one of the best in Czechoslovakia. And the game is very instructive because Bobby, after the opening, had a very small advantage, very small edge. But he realized, later on during the game with a fantastic technique. You'll see at
Mm,
the end,
make it a bigger
little by
advantage.
little. Of course, White played a little bit quiet like this.
Mm,
Probably he wanted to have an even game or something. He respected very much the opponent. But starting from here already, we'll see how Bobby plays for win. The normal position here, with the difference that usually the knight instead of f3 stays in e2. The
mm,
normal move is g6 and bishop g7. But here, because the knight is in f3, black can play, you know, in meantime, bishop g4. I mean, he wants to give the bishop g4. Very good move, bishop g4, because
yes.
he wants to give the bishop, I mean, the pair of bishops, but he has complete control on the d4 square. And that gives a small edge for black. He
Hmm.
plays against the two bishops, but with the control of the diagonal and the knight in d4, which is very strong. Well,
Which diagonal? This one?
later on, he comes with the bishop in g7, of course. Okay, he took there, and g6. Okay. Until now, everything is clear. Black, as I told you, very small edge. But, to win this is another story. Okay, so bishop g7. Okay, a4. The a4 was not necessary. I mean, he wanted to control the queen side, not to allow b5, you see.
Yeah.
But b5 is not so easy to play immediately because the white has the diagonal for the moment. If you play in such a position b5, I mean,
Yes. If there also.
without a4, then you can think that white can also play the move e5. I mean, attacking the knight, and the big diagonal is dangerous, you see. So you have to be careful with black. Okay, so a4 is more or less, I mean, in my opinion, not the best move. Because of a4, he suffered the whole game, you
Mm,
see, the next part of the game. All right, e6, normal, no? Bishop g2, knight g7, castle, castle, no? Okay, so we see the result of the opening, bishop e3. Until now, normal position, everybody knows this, the closed Sicilian. Is called the closed line of the Sicilian, but without a4. I mean, instead of a4, usually white has the same position with queen d2,
mm.
but without playing a4. Because now a4, provokes a little, but now black has a reason to play, after this move, a4, which weakens a little bit the queen
Ah,
side for
A4,
white,
A4. Okay.
a4, yeah. But we'll see. It's very difficult to do something. Black is okay. He has a very nice game, but you have to do something. See? Okay, Queen C7, right? Queen C7, Queen B1, also a little bit unusual, but it's unpleasant because Queen E2 or Queen F3 is not good. Simply after Knight D4, Black is better, with tempo.
Mm.
You see, so Queen B1 anyway is a little bit unusual. Let's say. Okay, Knight D4. Okay, control immediately. A5 again. After A5, black can't move the B pawn, but the pawn A5 is a little bit weak. You
Mm.
see, you can't capture the pawn immediately, but anyway, you have to look that what happens with this pawn later on.
Become a
Yeah,
target.
can be attacked. So again, immediately attack on this pawn. So right, what to do? 91. It's not too bad for white. If white can free himself, it's not too bad. But it's very difficult to free himself because if he plays c3, after knight b3, is almost lost or lost completely.
Mm.
So it's clear that black is better already, in this position. Okay, and now excellent move c4. Why? Because he can open the game. You see, after this move c4, he gives a pawn for the moment, but then he takes back the pawn with a strong initiative. Anyway, it's very pleasant, the position for black, you see. Enough for Bobby to play for win, of course. In such a position, he's very happy, he plays for win. Okay, takes. Now it's 95. No, okay. You can't play b3 because you lose a piece.
Yeah.
After knight f3 check, you see. This is the reason. He
Or
threatens in c4, but he threatens also knight f3 check and the bishop from d2.
okay, okay.
Yeah. So
Yes,
what to
yes.
do? You have to move the bishop, no? Bishop e3, of course. And after bishop e3, knight takes e4. Now it's okay. He took back the pawn, and the initiative is clear. Black has a fantastic game. So rook a4, rook c8, yeah. And now he gave the bishop there because uh, could be even worse. Black was threatening already something. Was threatening to come with tempo with these two knights from c4 and d4. So okay, he tries to show that it's not too much. I mean, playing with different color bishops. Black has black bishop, white has the white bishop in g2. He has very good chances to defend, but the position is very active for black, and therefore black is clearly better. But okay, to win is a long way, you see. Okay, queen a2, but the way he played Hort, it was not bad, but it's a little bit strange. Queen b1, queen a2 is a little bit unusual, this line for white. I mean, he's defending all the time. Okay, so c3. Okay, and now look at this idea. He attacks the pawn from a5. As I told you, the pawn for the moment is a little bit weak. Now we have to play b4, you see.
Yes.
And after the move b4, the pawn c3 is weak. You see,
Okay, okay. Yes, from one to
one
another.
weakness to another, all the time, you see. It's okay. If not, he loses the pawn, a5. It's okay, before. Now he comes back. Now it's
Okay.
clear. He attacks again, the only weakness there. And now we see why the position is a little bit strange, because it's a little bit artificial. The rook in a4
Yes.
attacks nothing, and the queen in a2 also a little bit strange, in Sicilian. Okay, rook e1. Now it's clear that white has to defend, all the time. All right, rook d8. The most natural moves, you see, all the time. Yeah. Provoking a small weakness and afterwards trying to realize a very small advantage, you see. But again, very difficult. King g8, g7, queen e2.
What is the idea with
I
this
mean,
key
he
move?
gives the chance to go wrong with white.
Okay.
You have to find the way. Maybe he doesn't find the best way. You see. Queen e2, because white has to defend very carefully.
So it's more psychological move.
Yeah, all the time. Like this. Very difficult to play. Very high level. I mean, you see.
Yeah.
It's okay, rook a2. But until now, white, except the fact that he was a little bit passive after the opening, the rest until now he played okay. I mean, he defended very well, Hort. H4, and now queen d7 again, patient. Now it's clear that black wants to come on the c file, attacking maybe 3 times the pawn from c3. That is the idea. Okay, king h2. He waits, of course, knight there. I mean, now you have another possibility to give maybe one check in g4. The knight is very strong in e5. Okay, rook c2, defending the weakness. Check. Now the king there, and now, okay, black comes on the c file. Right, bishop there. I mean, this is, of course, he doesn't let white to take in g4. If he takes in g4, he escapes. Then the bishop is very strong in f6, but is doing nothing. You can't win with a powerful bishop alone.
So you need the
So
knight
you
also.
need the knight, and the knight is very strong in e5. Okay, knight e3. Now at least he has a hope to trade the knight against the strong knight from e5, you see. But okay, now black has a very powerful initiative on the queen side. So you have to be very careful with white here, because there are threat after threat. In any position you can lose something, maybe one pawn, maybe more. You see, all the time. Okay, now c4. Again, a fantastic move. Black accepts the fact that it's possible to trade the knights, but he accepts to trade the knight with a very strong initiative. Why? Because now if you take in c4, takes, and queen takes c2, he attacks the rook from b1 and the pawn from b2, from f2, and the pawn from c3. And of course, very strong initiative and probably winning for black already. So again, he has to defend with the best moves. Okay, so now, okay, takes, now takes. Okay, finally we have the result. White is losing the pawn in every position. The pawn from e4 or the pawn from c3, So now he has to try to find a way to save the game, with this hope to advance b5 and later on to play against the weakness from a6, And starting from here, Bobby has to show a very high technique, how to win a much better position. And okay, we can admire the technique from Fischer, starting from here. It is much better for black, but it's still very difficult to win. Okay, b5, the best move. Okay, bishop takes c3, takes, and now rook b6. Okay, the best move again. Now it seems that he takes back the pawn because rook a8 is not good because you lose the pawn from d6.
Yes.
So okay, how do you win this? You have to give the pawn from a6. It's the only way, But in meantime, you take the pawn there, and you have the central pawn d5 later. The pawn from d6 comes to d5, and you have a very good end game with black in all positions. All right, so okay, check, king there, and d5. All right. Now we have the result. Black has a pawn, but white has a good counter chance with the free pawn a. The a pawn is always dangerous if it goes a little bit too far. So you have to control the position with black. So therefore, it's not so easy. Okay, rook a1, excellent. Now white has to trade the rook.
Simplify.
Yeah, so has to take. No? Takes, and now the bishop will come to d4. Look at this. Okay, controlling all the black squares, and the possibility to advance the pawn in a7, and therefore it's clearly better for black, but still very difficult to win, because the pawn there is, dangerous for the moment. If he advances a little bit, it's too dangerous later. So okay, now the king is coming. Why? He centralizes the king in the best conditions. The king wants to come in d6 later, But again, you have to be patient with black for a few moves. Okay, he controls again all the black squares. You see. All right, rook a2, bishop a7. You see. It seems the bishop is a little bit passive, but the bishop controls everything, you see, from a7. I mean, if you look at this, controls the diagonal and controls the b file. The control of the b file is much more important than control of the a file, which is closed. White has a good rook on a2, but for the moment it's doing nothing. I mean, it's only defensive. So, okay, but how to realize? Very instructive, because if you look at the position, white has 3 pawns on the king side, everything on black. Black has the black bishop. In the meantime, white has white bishop. All the pawns from Fischer are on white. How to win? It's much better for black, but you have to win. Okay, so now he has to create majority on the central squares. Now, I mean, to have, if possible, 2 passed pawns on E and D. If he can arrive to this, he's always win. Okay, king g2. White has to wait. King d6. Now we have the result. Black has the best positions with the king in d6. But it seems that for the moment he can't advance the the pawns on the other side because he loses the pawn from g6, if he advances too quickly.
Yes.
So, okay, rook b3 attacks the bishop immediately, bishop e2, and now immediately f6. He wants to play e5,
Mm.
If he arrives e5 and has the two passed pawns, very good chances to win. So what to do? I mean, he has to control a little bit the central squares also. Now, after e5, is not so good because he loses the pawn from d5. I mean, he takes in f5, in e5, takes with the pawn, and bishop c4, and white is okay.
Mm-hmm. Bishop c4.
It's bishop c4, yes. He attacks the rook and the pawn from d5. If you lose the pawn from d5, white is better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what to do? I mean, you have to be patient again. So he attacks the pawn for the moment. I mean, gives him the possibility to do something with white. I mean, he has to wait. Now, with the bishop in d3, okay, bishop e3 attacks the rook first. Now, has to move the rook in d1. Now again check. Now to do. Now the king, it seems, has a good possibility, but the king in f3 is almost mate. If the bishop is, for instance, in b6 or a7, after rook f2 is mate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So white has to be very careful about this also.
Yeah.
Little by little. So now the bishop stays on d4, very strong, position, and in this moment he threatens mate in one.
Yeah.
Rook f2 mate. So what to do? It seems the only way to do something is to play g4. Sad, but he has to. If he doesn't play g4, he's mate. Okay, so rook a3. Now he invites you to take in h5.
Yes.
If you take in h5, black doesn't have weakness in g5, in g6 anymore.
Yes.
So-
You solve the problem for for Bobby.
So now he goes back with the king, threatening to take in g6. That is the only hope. So okay, now he attacks the other weakness in f3. Look what the technique. It's not so difficult, but it's very instructive.
Yes.
Okay, now again the king is there. Now the bishop has, another position, but he wants to come with tempo with the pawns. E5, e4 check. Now, you see, this is the other possibility. So now the king g2. White has to wait again, of course. And now the moment. I mean, he could play finally the move. Now it's clear with the two passed pawns, black has very good winning chances.
So even if he takes now with the bishop
No,
here,
he can't. He's pinned.
he's pinned. True.
Yeah. So he has to takes. Now what to do? King g2, the only way. Yeah. So now he took there. No, he took in
Yes.
g6, but he lost.
The
The
hope.
only good pawn. I mean, the pawn from a6. Now it's clear, black is winning. But of course, in a few moves, and now again, but now is much easier for black because he has the two very strong pawns, d5 and d5. And this, pure technique here. So, okay, king e6, now h5, bishop. Now he controls again the diagonal, the other diagonal. e3, h6. The pawn can't go on, h6. Okay, now it's very easy. Okay, check. There, bishop a6 now. The bishop is far away, but it's enough for a win because one check is enough, in e4 or in f4. And we'll see the end of the game here. Now check. Now king g3. Check. Everything was tempo. King g4. And all right, the king is coming, you see.
Yes.
What to do now with white? The only way to do something is rook b8. Right? Rook on check. And now the king has a very safe position, in d4. No checks anymore, you see. But the king has a very strong position in d4, but defends everything, The only way for white to hope to have a small chance to make a draw is to give the bishop for the two pawns, but he can't do it, because the pawns are defended.
So he can take maybe only one.
Only one is not enough. Yeah, okay. So king f5, okay, check there, and finally e3 and white resign.
Yes, right design.
Fantastic game, no?
Yes.
Almost from nothing, you see. Very small advantage. I mean, for the normal players, I mean, if you look at the game, you see, okay, black is a little bit better all the time, but how can he win, you see?
Yeah.
But little by little, you see, impressive technique, until the end.
Yes. But if the king is coming now this way,
It doesn't matter, even if he gives check in f6, it's all right.
so how do you push this?
Okay,
With the
let's
king?
say I play, for instance, check in f7, f6, pardon. Okay, you play king d6 now.
Yes.
Okay, rook f6 check. Yeah. And
Okay.
what do you play now? King d7, no?
Yes.
Okay, rook f2. Rook f2, and I want to play e2. And, okay,
Mm.
finish.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
E2, and after e2, bishop d2.
Mm-hmm.
And I make a queen. Yeah. Now you can't move the rook because it's queen. If you can't move the rook, the bishop is doing nothing in g6, and the next threat is bishop d2 and queen. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Because you see the difference of every piece. The rook is better, the bishop is better, the pawn, of course, has a pawn, and the king from d4 is a monster. You can't attack the king. You can't give one check.
Yes.
Yeah.
True. Beautiful.
And Hort was in the best 20 already in the world. In that moment.
Mm.
But if you look at the game, you have the impression that the super grandmaster plays against a normal player.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
Yeah, fantastic technique. One of the best end games in his career from Bobby.
This one?
This one. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
This one, and I think it was also very nice end game at Reykjavik against Spassky. One of the best, also fantastic end game. But we show it already, there from their match.
Where the technique made a big difference.
Yeah, in end game, fantastic technique also.
Yes.
Okay. Well, and this is more difficult to do such a thing than to realize a tactical game where you give a piece or something and you win on a few moves by attacking the king or so. This is much more difficult to
Because
do
I have to
something
do
like this.
a lot of
Because you have
calculations.
to have patience, and little by little all the time, It's not
Patience.
so easy because it's move after move after move, difficult. Maybe you have to do something like 20, 30 moves until you win, you see. You make a fantastic combination, you win immediately in 2-3 moves like this.
True. Patience is
Well,
not so
patience
easy.
and very high technique, of course.
True.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
You're welcome.